I'm Tora, and happy Pride Month, everybody! Yeah, this video was supposed to come out start of June, but stuff came up, real world stuff, and I ended up banking this till now. I'm so sorry, everybody. I also didn't write a script for this video. I considered writing one, and I did write a few, but I didn't like the flow of it. I didn't like recording while using it, so I'm just kind of going off script. Today's video is really just a speed paint, and I want to talk about the focus of the speed paint, which is my D&D character, Raskiel Pelelas, which, yes, is just as weird to hear as it is to say. Raskiel is my first ever D&D character, and I made her back when I was introduced to D&D, and the version that I was introduced to was 3.5, or is it just 3? Can't remember. Back then, there were race class restrictions, so you couldn't be a specific class unless you were a specific race and vice versa. And I really wanted to play a ranger. I was really heavily inspired by my dad, who played a ranger, and by Drizzt Do'Urden, because I was reading Crystal Shard at the time, and just the idea of the ranger, because I was a hunter main in WoW, which meant ranger was just right up my alley. But the only races available for rangers at the time were humans, elves, and half-elves, if I recall correctly. I didn't want to be a human or an elf, so I just settled for a half-elf. So Raskiel is a bit of a weird one in terms of gameplay because she had the weirdest transition. See, when I was getting a little more serious into D&D and I was willing to commit to playing longer and longer games, we decided, my party and I decided to convert from 3 to 5 5th edition. And when we did that, she had the hardest transition, mainly because Rangers in 5th edition had a lot of problems when they were first released. When the subclasses were, I mean, looking back, they're okay. Beastmaster is pretty weak, but Hunter was okay. But at the time, we really didn't know what to do with her because on top of being a ranger, she was a dual wielder. And dual wielding rules in 5th edition are iffy at best. I mean, they work, but when you take into the broader scheme of things, they can be either really lackluster or really game-breaking because of something called action economy. I will not explain that here for the people that don't understand D&D lingo. Basically, it was just really difficult to balance her in combat, especially when you considered my other party mate, which was the fighter, who was very effective in combat, and even the cleric, who eventually switched to becoming a bard, who was still very effective in combat. But I still enjoyed playing Raskiel. I think of all the characters that I've ever made, and I haven't made a lot, to be fair, I've only made concepts for characters. But of all the D&D characters that I made, she resonates the most with me. Maybe it's because she was my first character. And she reflects a lot of my extremes of my personality. She's overly cautious and overly paranoid now that I think about it. But she also really likes to just dive into exploring, looking through all the nooks and crannies and stuff. So it's kind of this weird balance between I want to explore and poke my nose into everything, and wait, no, stop, that's probably trapped. Get away from that. Please, do not touch the big glowy orb thing, Dov. So anyway, Raskiel is also a fun character in terms of flavor because it was one that I kind of developed. Her aesthetic developed like really late into the game. Like as I was playing her, that's when my style for her developed. Because prior to that, I didn't have a theme for her in mind. I just kind of thought, oh, half-elf ranger, sure, I'll go with that. And I wanted her to have orange hair because I was still a bit in my weeb phase at the time, and orange hair was so cool to me. It still kind of is cool to me. If I'm envious of people with red hair. Eventually, she did kind of form her own aesthetic as we went along. Basically, her aesthetic is really focused on her weapons, which are her adamantine swords, which are custom crafted for her. This was why they're not. I can't really call them longswords. I can't really call them scimitars either. So, well, they are longswords. They're just finesse instead of versatile. And during the adventure, we actually discovered some runes, some magical runes that I was able to put onto my swords. And that basically turned me into, if Mikasa Ackerman had Todoroki's powers, because we were fighting giants at the time, and I was a dual-wielding person fighting things almost 4 times my size. Very Attack on Titan. So because of that, I was thinking, okay, she really needs to have an aesthetic, because, you know, she does cast magic, she does do magic things, so what does that aesthetic look like? I am very particular when it comes to magic aesthetics. And I realized, you know, her one sword is fire, the other sword is ice. So when you put them together, you get steam or mist. And that's kind of her aesthetic now, I guess. She's very, she has that mist fog effect whenever she does something magic-y, and I just think that's really cool. So, Ruskiel is one that I like to draw simply because I always have a new design for her. I don't draw her that often, mainly because, well, otherworld stuff, and I hyperfixate on a lot of things at a time. But recently, because I've been getting back into this particular campaign where I play Ruskiel, I've been drawing her a lot more frequently, and it's really fun to do it because she has very, very fun shapes. Her hair, especially when she has that bandana and ponytail combo going, and I just think that's really, really fun to work the lines for, but also because of her cloak. So, her cloak is a cloak of the manta ray, which allows her to breathe underwater and to swim really, really fast. This was before Tasha's gave Rangers a swim speed. And it's actually, I think this is my second use non-weapon magical item. I know, personally, I think this is my most used magical item, because the other magical item that we use frequently is the movable rod, but that's party property. I really like drawing the Cloak of the Manta Ray because I like cloaks. I like drawing long cloaks. And the Cloak of the Manta Ray has that little tail thing at the end, which also makes it really, really fun when you're trying to figure out, okay, what direction is he moving in, which way is that cloak swaying, and it's super cool. I also really like collars, and the Cloak of the Manta Ray has a really high one. I have very specific tastes. Now, the thing about Ruskiel was that I always imagined her carrying her swords on her hips. You know, kind of like anime, basically. But recently, I got a magical item that was basically the omnidirectional movement gear from Attack on Titan. And because of that, I couldn't put my swords on my hips anymore because I felt that it was too bulky on her sides. And somebody suggested that I put it under it so it does basically where the swords would be, because the gear is only the movement part. It doesn't come with the detachable blades compartment that you see in Attack on Titan. So somebody suggested that I just put the scabbards there, and I considered that, but I didn't really want to do that. So I decided to put it on her back, which you probably should be seeing here in this drawing. I really don't want to say too much about Ruskiel, or like her story anyway, because I was thinking of saving that for another video. So I just think that I just want to leave this here, probably. Again, I'm really sorry for how all over the place I sound. I really didn't know what to do with the script, so I just kind of went with my train of thought, but just pretty much this. And it's all over the place. But yeah, I think that's about all I can say about Ruskiel, and really just a little hint in my D&D and art process and my train of thought process. Again, I'm really sorry this video took so long. I promise the next one's not gonna take a month for me to upload, because it should come out maybe next. I don't know when it's coming out, but definitely not in a month. So have fun, stay safe, and thanks for stopping by!